What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we've got a fun video for you. Today we are going to be talking about some handgun accessories. Today we're going to be going over weapon mounted lights and red dots on carry pistols. More likely little carry pistols, but we're going to cover every pistol you might carry. Some of the pros and cons of each, some of the methods you might want to learn to use, and some of the methods you might not want to use, and maybe some other things you might want to carry with you to help out with this particular situation. This is a relatively hot topic in the gun industry right now because of a man named Ken Hackathorn, and a lot of people have been discussing whether or not he's right or wrong. Personally, I think he's right and wrong. So we're going to go over some of the things that I think you should take in consideration before picking up a light or a dot, or maybe some benefits they might give you if you do. Now let's go over the light first, since the light is a little bit of a point of contention for some reason. This is the TLR 7A. This weapon light can fit on regular railed guns like this P365XL macro here, and it can also fit on smaller guns in the sub configuration. So it is a very popular weapon light that you see on tiny little guns like this, or maybe the Glock. Sometimes they mount to the rail and sometimes they mount to the actual trigger guard, and there are tons of other lights as well that can mount, but we're going to be specifically talking about this one. All the pros and cons will be the same because they're all lights, they all light shit up. Now, one of the pros of the weapon mounted light is it's dark about half the time and it helps you see better. And what I mean by that is if you have a weapon mounted light, you have a better grip while still illuminating the target, which is great. Now, one of the cons people talk about is, well, now you're going to use your light to illuminate things that you don't want to shoot. Well, you don't actually have to do that. So first off, if you want to use a weapon mounted light without pointing it at something you don't want to destroy and going against one of the firearm safety rules, you can simply point it at the ground and illuminate the floor, or point it at the ceiling and illuminate the ceiling, and it will still illuminate the entire room. I know it sounds crazy, but these lights are pretty powerful, and believe it or not, that's one of the methods that people use. If you come into a room high ready, you can press the weapon light up and it will hit the ceiling of the room and it will illuminate the room. If you're using a low ready because there's people above you, you can hit the floor with the light and it will still illuminate the room more than enough for you to see if there's a threat in that room. So I really think that argument is a moot point if you use the right tactics, to be honest with you. And I also think if you are concerned about it or in a high populated area, you can simply use a handheld light, specifically one of these with the ring. It's actually a lot easier. Just because you have a weapon light mounted to your handgun doesn't mean you can't also use a handheld light. So that specific situation everybody seems to be talking about, you don't even have to do it. You can completely avoid it and still have the pro of a weapon mounted light, which is having a light on your gun all the time. So when you need to illuminate a threat, you can have it illuminated and go hands-free and still have your hands on the gun. Now, who am I to give you tactical advice? Literally nobody. And you should use whatever techniques or skills that you think are best. I'm just talking about my opinions. Everything in this video is going to be my opinion, as all of my videos are. Now, the real cons of the weapon light as I see them are that you could be provoked to point it at things that you're not supposed to if you are untrained or if you don't know what you're doing. It can get in the way of your junk if you are carrying appendix. That could be a real issue. But most of the con of a weapon mounted light is the cost and the likelihood of you ever having to need it. So a lot of times these are $100 to $200, if you use an X300, $300, $400. And a lot of times you're never in a situation where you would ever need one of these if you are a civilian. Now, if you're a law enforcement officer, that is way different because they're way more likely to use their weapon mounted lights because they're searching and assessing 3, 4, 5 times a day. And a lot of those guys work night shift and all they work is in darkness. For a regular civilian, very unlikely to ever need your weapon mounted light. However, it is good to have one. And just like rubber boots in a fucking rainstorm, if you don't want to get hit by lightning, make sure you got them. And I feel like it's a good thing to have. Now, another pro of the light is that it reduces the recoil of the shot for the most part. Now, I know some people have an issue with this, but it is a reality. If you put a little weight on the end of the gun, it reduces the recoil and it helps you shoot better. So not only does it help you light up situations when you need to, it helps you reduce recoil as well. Now, that comes at a cost of A, the cost of the light, B, the updating the light, which means putting batteries in it and learning how to operate the light. But you're also going to need a different holster if you don't already have a light bearing holster already, and sometimes light bearing holsters are hard to find. But other than those cons, I see no real issue with the light as long as you use it in the way that you are supposed to use it. Now, as far as dots go, do you need a dot on your carry gun? Well, no, you don't. Just like you don't need a light. Could it help you? Yes, it could. And can you shoot iron sights effectively from 0 to 50 yards? Absolutely. Can people shoot iron sights at 100 yards, at 200 yards? Yes, they can. So do you need a dot? No, you don't. Will it help you shoot? Yes, it will. Now, one of the good things about a dot on your carry gun is the same thing as a dot on your competition gun. They're usually faster to acquire in stressful situations because you can threat focus. So you don't have to focus on that front sight. And honestly, when you're shooting iron sights 0 to 10 yards, you don't look at the front sight anyway for the most part. If you're a good shot, you kind of just intuitively shoot. You should, but you don't, right? And I think with a dot, people are more likely to pick that up in a stressful situation rather than to just dump a mag at the air to make them feel good about themselves. Another good thing about the dot is a single point of aim. So if you are trying to shoot at distance, it does help you. And I can shoot at 100 yards with iron sights. But I can shoot better with a dot. Now, is that worth the $500 to put on your carry gun? For most people, no, it isn't, because things happen 0 to 7 yards according to the FBI. Obviously, it happened much further than that, and obviously they disperse greatly. Like your concealed carry situation could be a Dickens situation where you have to shoot somebody at 55 yards, but most of the time it happens point blank, belly to belly in bad breath distances. At least that's what the statistics show. Now, a dot can also cause failure points, especially if they have plates in them. One of the most common failures of any handgun is the plate system that you put your dot on. A lot of times they bend, the screws break. There's 2 sets of screws in that case, which can crack. And even though your dot is made very well, often or not, optic screws are shit. So you're gonna have to really make sure you have it torqued down to spec with a torque wrench. I would recommend putting notches or blue marks on them so you can see if the screws are backing out. And I would routinely check your dot and your plates just to make sure nothing looks bent. You'll probably be okay. Second failure point with a dot. It's electronic and it can fail in either impacts, it can fail with mud, it can fail with water, or it can just run out of battery, or they can just make a really shitty one. So a red dot does give you increased capabilities, but it also gives you increased cost. Good ones are somewhere between $300 and $700. And do most people need that? They absolutely do not. Will it help you shoot a little better? It will. Is it more fun? Yes, it is. Does it also cause failure points? It super does. And you're just gonna have to take those things in consideration, and you're gonna have to decide yourself. Don't let a 70-year-old man or a 20-year-old guy or anybody on the internet tell you what you need to carry. You need to figure out for yourself what your lifestyle is. Personally, me, I all talked about tons of pros. The light has a pro, the dot has a pro, but for the most part, I don't carry a weapon mounted light or a red dot. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, I do not. This is my Glock 43X that I carried forever, and it is slick with iron sights, and there is no light underneath it. And I carried it for years with a Surefire handheld light, and I felt perfectly capable in every situation I've ever needed to deal with, including shooting coyotes at night. I handled with iron sights and a handheld light. Are they good? Yes, they are. Do I have guns with this capability? Yes, I do. Do I recommend that you have those if you want them? Sure. Do I need them? No. Do you need them? No, you don't. I mean, that's the honest truth. They're good to have, but you don't need them. So it's up to you, your skill level, and mostly your budget. Can you afford to spend $200 on a light and $400 on an optic on a most likely $600 gun that you carry? If you want to do that because you want to train all the time and you want to be the best you can be, then I recommend wholeheartedly that you do that. And if you don't want to spend the money, get good with the iron sights and you're going to be fine. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please support your Oklahoma shelters and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.